Hi, I'm your host, Marsha Florence for Just Ask. Today we have Standing Wheelchair Company as our guest. Please hurry back and join us. Hi, I'm your host, Marsha Florence with Just Ask. Today our guest is the Standing Wheelchair Company and the president, David Masick. Hi, David.
How you doing, Marsha?
Glad to have you on our show.
Oh, my pleasure.
Now, David, we normally start off with a group of questions in reference to a person's disability, but I would like for you as the president of this company to please tell us how the Standing Wheelchair Company got started and, a little more about the history of it.
Okay, all right. Maybe I can give you a brief overview of what the chair is and what it does, and then I can give you some of the history if you like.
Okay.
Let me just kind of roll up here a little bit. What this is just looks like a regular wheelchair, Marsha, like any wheelchair you might see out at any rehab center, except when the person that's in the chair does two operations, then they can stand themselves up. This is the first thing. You move these arms around. Second thing is by moving a lever right on this side, right over here, an individual who's disabled could stand themselves up. So it's very little effort to go up and to go down in the chair.
Okay.
And once it's set for somebody's weight, it could stop part way. So if you wanted to be part way up in a position like this right here, it would hold in this position right here.
That's wonderful.
And how we happened to get into this, about 8 years ago, I had a friend, a lady who's in a wheelchair, who needed to stand up. She was having a lot of problems being in her traditional wheelchair, developing a lot of urinary tract infections. Her knees were contracting up. And by repeated standing, we thought that that may help her a lot. So what we did was we saw some devices that we thought would help her a lot. And it turns out that they did, but there were some shortcomings to them. So for the last 8 years, our company has just specialized in devices to stand up people. And over the last 3 years, we've developed our own chair. And there's nothing quite like this in the world. What we wanted to do was design something that's very easy for an individual, whether it's a paraplegic or it's a low-level quadriplegic or maybe a lady with MS or a young boy with muscular dystrophy. Very easy to take it up and then to take it back down. Now, kind of do it from the side so you got a better idea maybe of kind of what's happening here. When the chair is in the seated position, it's supported by the rear wheels and the little wheels, the casters. Now, when that chair stands, then that configuration changes. Then this L bar comes down, and so it widens the base of support. So it makes it very stable to be in this position right here. So say, for example, if I were a school teacher and I needed to get up to a blackboard, or if I was a student and I wanted to give a presentation to my class, or if I was a housewife and I needed to get some things from out of the cupboard, very easy to do that in this position. But kind of the key thing, and why this chair is prescribed for individuals, is that there are a lot of physiological benefits of standing up. Most people who aren't in a wheelchair don't realize how difficult it is sitting in a wheelchair all day. And the analogy I like to draw is that if you were to take a 3-hour trip in your car and you were to drive to the Mackinac Bridge, say, for example, when you get out of that car, your neck hurts, your shoulders hurt, your back is burning, your legs feel like cement, and it takes 10 minutes to stand and stretch to work out the kinks, and you're not disabled and you're a healthy person. So if you had to sit for 16 hours confined in that car, that's very, very difficult. So now that's what people in a wheelchair have to do every day. They have to sit in one fixed position. So being able to change position just by moving a lever allows them to do weight bearing on their legs, to get pressure relief on your hind end, to have gravity working on your digestive and your urinary tract. So there are a lot of health reasons why somebody should stand.
Now, speaking of travel, is this a lightweight device where you can pack it up?
We make it in two versions. We make it in a rigid chair, meaning that it doesn't fold up, and we also make it in a folding version, so you could fold it like an accordion. It's not as light as what would be called a lightweight chair. However, you still could fold it up. And what we've made this out of a special material. It's made out of a steel called 4130. It's used to make aircraft and racing cars. It's a high strength to low weight ratio material. So what it's allowed us to do is in the manufacture of this to make something that's really strong and tough, but we've reduced the weight greatly.
Okay.
So most people, when they're in this chair and they're going down the street, other people, even other disabled people in a chair, wouldn't know that this would be able to stand them up. They're surprised when it happens.
Now, what about the kind that has the motorized device on them? Does your chair come in that same frame, or it's just the way it is?
Right. At this point right here, it doesn't. We're working on a power version, but for, say, a spinal cord injured person, that from about a C5 incomplete on down, and I'm kind of giving you the medical
I understand.
terminology here, okay, that individual could operate this chair right here.
Okay.
Or most people that could push a manual wheelchair would be able to operate this chair right here. But there'd be some people who would be high-level injuries who would need a power version. And we're probably 8 months away, that right now we're working on the electronics to make this in a power version also.
Now the cushion here, you can open it up and it lays back down, or does it?
Yes, these arms right here rotate in this fashion right here. So in addition to standing, just sitting in the chair is very comfortable. It's far more natural to keep your arms like this, like your arms are like that right now, rather than keeping your arms like this.
Okay.
So we've got a number of people who are in our chair who, in addition to standing, love just sitting in the chair because it's far more comfortable.
I see that it's really very much padded, and I wanted to ask you, so right here around the knee area, is that comfortable?
Very.
Okay.
And the purpose of these tibia supports right here helps a person to block your knees, so it allows you to stand so you can pivot at the knees. But this is well padded in this area right here along with the arms. So when somebody stands, what we want to make sure is that they're supported, but there's no pressure there. So each person who gets a wheelchair, it's custom fit for them, that we will start with their seat width and then we'll make adjustments to how tall they are, what their leg length is, how much they weigh, and what type of disability.
So it's actually like a prescription. And when you say custom, so it's actually custom made to fit the client.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. So if it's a child, it will be if it's a child, can you get a chair that's small as the child, and then as the child grow, she progressively grow, the chair changes too?
To some extent, we can make adjustments. So say, for example, a child that would maybe be 10 years old and weighed 60 pounds, that in the chair that they would be in, it would work till maybe they would be 120 pounds. So there's some range. So say, for example, the chair that we would start with, if somebody was 14, that there would be a good chance it could probably work till they were 18 or 19. Okay. So it kind of depends where they are. If they get a big growth spurt, then it probably won't accommodate that.
If a person is outgrowing their chair, can they trade it in? Is there a trade-in value or something on your chair?
Yes, there is. Yep. If the chair is in good shape, and if somebody has gone through this growth spurt, there are some things that we can do that basically there are only a few components that we would need to change to make this a wider chair. All the center section, the frame section, we could enlarge by 2 inches. And the same with these right here and these arm supports. So the side components would be all the same. They're all the same on the chairs. And wheelchairs are measured in seat width, and we make them from 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 wide chairs. So we could take a 14 wide chair, and with relatively minor modifications, we could make it a 17-inch chair.
Okay, now is the chair oiled or anything? I'm looking at how clean this chair is, and I'm looking at all the little screws and everything. So do you have to oil the chair?
There's very little maintenance on this. That when we started working on this and designing this about 3 years ago, we wanted to make something that was going to be very strong, where there'd be very few breakdowns for an individual, that it would be light, that it would be easy to push, but also we internally, that in all the areas where it pivots, there are bushings inside. All the bearings are seal bearings, so there isn't something that you have to do.
So it's really low maintenance.
Very low maintenance. But you still have to keep air in the tires and keep the fabric clean. But outside of that, not too much you really have to do with it.
And it comes with the little backpack in the back.
Backpack, yep, is
That's nice.
included in the, in the package.
Okay, we have a backpack there. Okay. Okay, well, we're really impressed with this chair. But, Dave, let's go to a commercial break, and we'll come back with the second half of the show and let someone else demonstrate the chair itself, okay?
Okay, thank you, Marcia.
Be right back.
What are you drawing?
A picture of me.
What are you going to do with it?
I'm giving it to my grandma.
Oh, that's nice. How come?
Daddy said she's gonna have a hard time remembering things from now on.
Really?
So if I give her this picture of me, she'll have something to remember me by.
Well, it looks just like you.
But to make sure, I put my name right there.
Oh.
I don't think she'll ever forget that.
Hi, and welcome back to the show. For those of you who are just joining us, we have the Standing Wheelchair Company today with David Masick, and we have also some additional guests, Ron Cooper and Larry Dilworth. Hi, Ron. Hi, Larry.
How you doing?
Glad to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Ron, we'd like to start off with you. Can you give us a brief history of your disability and also let us know how you became involved with the Standing Wheelchair Company?
Okay, sure. Basically, I've been an aircraft mechanic for about 25 years, and in 1989, I test flew a lot of aircraft for people, and I found an airplane that didn't fly real good that day, and ended up with a L1 spinal cord injury, which made me a low para. And I was in St. Joe's Hospital for about 6 months, roughly, and then when I was discharged from the hospital, I've got the business behind my house, and I went back out to the hangar one day, and after about 6 months, a lot of dust and cobwebs have accumulated out there. And I sat in the middle of the floor, and I just thought, I'm done. There's just no way I could ever work in this business again. And so I went back in the house, and a few days later, I went back out again and turned a couple lights on and looked around. I thought, well, maybe I'll just sweep the floor up a little bit, get some of the dust off. And I got some cobwebs down. I'm out there all by myself. And then a couple months later, I decided, well, I'm going to start tinkering around out here, and I started getting a little more strength up and get my mind going. And I happened to be reading a newspaper article one day, and I found an article on the Stand-Up Wheelchair Company up in Saginaw. So I gave Dave a call, and he came down with a stand-up wheelchair because I brought some airplanes in, and I was able to sit down and work on them, but I wasn't there totally yet.
Okay.
And so Dave came down and brought a chair down, and after I saw the chair and what it could do, after I got in it, I stood up and I thought, I'm going back into business again.
Okay.
I can do this. So
you actually started off in a standard wheelchair?
Started off in a standard wheelchair.
Okay.
That's correct.
And so by you being in a standard wheelchair, you weren't too comfortable in knowing that you possibly could continue your work?
No, because on most of the time on the aircraft, when you're sitting there, I'm working on the engine or on the wing or something like that. You're actually looking about the same level that the engine was. So once I got up to the point where I could actually get up high enough to where I could reach over the airplane.
Okay.
And what's nice about the chair is there was a lot of areas on the airplane that I had to be kind of halfway up. Mm-hmm. And one of the advantages of this chair is I can go halfway down, which for me is very comfortable.
So the adjustment level helps you go in and out and around?
Yes, and based on that, I opened the business back up and got right back into the aircraft maintenance business, and I've been on the roll ever since. So there's really very little that I can't do with aircraft. Now I crawl in and out of them. This has helped me get my strength built up, and it's put me back, and mentally and physically, it's really made some great improvements on me. I don't know what I would have done without the chair. So
how long have you been using this chair now?
I've been using this chair for just about 5 years.
Okay.
This chair I've been in. Dave wouldn't let me bring my chair that I paint aircraft with because the thing is so bad looking that. In fact, tonight it's blue instead of black.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, the chair's just done wonders for me. You go out shopping someplace, and you're in a wheelchair. Someone always, when I was in a sit-down chair, I'd be out and I'd see something on the shelf that I wanted, but you just couldn't
Right.
Couldn't get it. Somebody'd walk by and say, "Excuse me, sir, can I get that for you?" And as bad as you want it, you just went,
Okay.
Yeah, I'll do it.
So
but
the chair actually has given you some of your self-esteem back?
Sure. I mean, everything.
Okay.
And what was really great is the first time I was able to stand up and give my wife a hug.
Okay.
Instead of
that's wonderful.
Just sitting down and, okay, come on down to me, but it puts me back up on my own level. We can change my own light bulbs now.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's nice. So you don't go anywhere without your mom?
No, I use the chair quite a bit. When I go out in town or shop and something like that, I get in my cleanup chair, and I go out and shop, and like I say, the only difference is it takes me a little longer to do things now, but other than that, there's very little that I can't do.
So you have your work chair and your after 5 chair.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
All right. Okay. Well, that's really good, and I'm sure Dave is very pleased with it. With the outcome of your
An
customers.
interesting aside, Marcia, for interrupting you, is about a month ago, Ron's daughter got married, and he was able to stand it up.
Yeah, I was.
Okay.
I was up front, when she came up to the front, and then. When I stood up, the whole congregation started clapping and stuff, and
wonderful.
It was just quite an experience for me and stuff.
That's really nice.
It was really
I'm
nice.
sure that changed the whole outlook.
Oh yeah, there was a bunch of smiles in the church that day.
I'm sure. Okay. Well, Larry, I'm glad to have you here, Larry Dilworth, and I realize that you are a photographer as well as you work for, is it the Michigan Citizen paper? What paper is it? I'm sorry.
Well, it's always a pleasure to be with you and on your show, Marcia. Yeah, I'm photographing for the Michigan Citizen, Michigan Post, Detroit Jazz, and other magazines, and freelancing for anybody that'll pay for my services. But if it wasn't for the standing wheelchair, I wouldn't be at the level I am today with photography.
Okay.
I've always had an interest in photography. I first met Dave when I was going to Henry Ford Hospital about 7 years ago, and he was rolling this chair in, and he said, "Hey, I want to show you something, And so he had an appointment to show it to some doctors, and we went upstairs by a Coke machine, and when I stood in the chair next to the Coke machine, the first time I told Dave, I said, I don't know what I got to do, but I'm going to get one of those chairs. And then I got blessed through the cable company I was working for, Barden Cablevision at the time, which is now Comcast. And fortunately, I had the insurance paid for 80% of it. And I got blessed with my coworkers there. They threw a fundraiser for me and paid the difference off. And they had a big to-do, and the cable company president came out, and my friends came out, and they sang and they cried. And
I remember.
Yeah, you were there.
Yes, I remember.
So it was just an amazing event. But
and how many years ago was that?
This has been, oh God, it's been at least 5.
So you've been a client for 5 years.
Well, I was with the I had the original chair that was from France. But they've made such tremendous strides since then with the new chair. It's just awesome. I just love the new chair.
Wonderful. Can you give our audience and our listening and viewing audience a little history on your disability?
Sure. I was born with spina bifida. I've been ambulatory since up until 1982, and that's when I became confined to the wheelchair. I've been in the wheelchairs for 15 years now. And just the initial, one thing a person when they get in a wheelchair wants to do is walk or run. But the next best thing to that is standing.
Right.
And it's very emotional after 15 years, the first time that you stand up. And I think everybody that gets in these standing wheelchair feels the same way that I did. It was being at eye level with individuals again. Because I have a new lady in my life, and just to be able to stand up like Coop said and look her in the eye and hug her in a standing position as opposed to looking at her from this position all the time is awesome too. Now, she made a comment she didn't know I was that tall.
Has your work increased since the chair?
I've been blessed this year with so many different things because people are fascinated when they see me out on the photo shoots with the other photographers, because it's kind of uncanny for a person in a wheelchair to work for a major newspaper. And I've gotten the last 5 front pages on the Michigan Citizen from my work in photography. In fact, I'll show you, since I have the camera in my lap, I'm going to take a shot of you and just show you how I worked the chair with the camera.
Oh, so you can handle it with one arm as well.
One arm
Okay.
to hold the camera, and I'm going to take a shot of you right now for the thing. And one of the things
I'll
Scoop
have a
mentioned
copy. Okay.
about that was, what I like about it in photography is, I shoot a lot of models. I have models come into my studio that are 6 foot, and they put on heels. They're 6'3", 6'4", 6'5" sometimes. No way you're going to get the kind of shots that I need to get from a seated position. I would get nothing but silly. But like Coop had mentioned, what I like about the chair is not only can I shoot from this position, but I can bring it down. I can shoot from multiple positions with my camera, just by moving my body up and down, which makes it great for me because it gives a different perspective on my camera. And that's what I love about the chair.
So you don't have to lock the chair because you can go up and down into the position you're comfortable with and then lock it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great.
I use my body weight with it. Once you get used to the chair and the operation and you feel comfortable with the chair, then the limit is on you. And that's what I love about the chair, not having to be just in the upright position or just one position.
Okay.
I have multiple, just like anyone else standing up.
Okay. I see that you have a service dog, and Deborah's dying to come over here, so we might as well let Deborah just come on over here. And
Come here, Deborah.
Deborah has been with you for quite some time.
Come here,
Deborah will be another guest on our show at a later date with Pause the Cause. But hi, Deborah. So, okay, now Deborah's happy. Okay. Now, let me ask you this. Now, Dave, we haven't really talked about cost factors here. Is the insurance company the carriers mostly for a chair like this, you know, or do you have any agencies that help you out?
Yes, that's probably one of the best things that's happening, Marcia, is that more of the funding agencies are seeing how valuable it is to have somebody who's in a chair to be able to stand up throughout the day because you're far healthier. And so the chair is more expensive than a regular lightweight chair.
Okay.
The chair sells for about $6,000. But if somebody were confined to a hospital for 30 days because of decubitus ulcers, or if their knees contracted up and you need a surgery, or if you got frequent urinary tract infections and you need a lot of medication, the extra money that the insurance company or the funding agency spends on a wheelchair like this, they wasted 10 times over.
Right.
So they're starting to see if the best way to save money is to keep somebody healthy, to avoid the medications, to avoid the hospitalization. So every private insurance company that we have seen has funded the standing chair. HMOs have funded it. The state of Michigan has been very good that through an agency called Michigan Rehab, that they've helped a lot of people go back to work. Now you're seeing two pros here, right here, who've been able to go back to work now. As it turns out that MRS didn't need to help either of these individuals, but there are a lot of people who've got great skills like Ron and Larry who, if they were able to stand up, could be back to work.
Right.
And Michigan Rehab has helped a lot of people. There's an agency called Crime Victims. If you're the victim of a crime, that they will help fund the chair. That the Muscular Dystrophy Association has helped young children with the chair.
That's wonderful. Okay.
See, something I might add to that, too, is I belong to the Rotary up in Fowlerville, and in talking with a lot of the businessmen in town, that when I went and did a demonstration of my chair at the Rotary Club, in many cases, if I roll into you and I say, I'd like a job with your company, the first thing that's going to go through your mind is, how have I got to adapt my place to fit this guy in a set-down type wheelchair? And as soon as I stood up and all the other businessmen in the Rotary saw me at that, I'd hire you because I don't have to adapt my workplace to you. You can reach all the file cabinets, and so that's a big plus. If you go in there and you're adapted to the workplace and not adapted to them, they're going to hire you.
Accessibility is really important, and I notice these chairs are not extremely wide as some that I've seen before. So if you're going somewhere in a restaurant or whatever, can you roll in your position, or do you stand yourself up?
It's similar. It's similar to an everyday chair. The only difference between it is this one stands up. So there's really no limitations on it. In fact, the features on it you can do a lot more than just a regular chair.
I'm going to ask a question about the knee guards. There's a lock here, isn't it?
Yes, there is, yes.
Okay.
That's important,
Okay.
yes. Yes,
Yeah.
that these two latch together, and so when somebody gets a chair, it's important that we go through the safety features and we teach them how to operate it. And you have to have a doctor's prescription to get the chair.
Okay.
We want to make sure the chair isn't for everybody, so there's some contraindications of some people who maybe shouldn't stand. But if somebody is able to stand, it's the one single thing that a wheelchair person can do to give them the greatest health benefits. Every body system that a person has got benefits by them standing up and down, and that's uncontested.
Okay. Now, how do you get your referrals, more or less?
Well, we appreciate the opportunity for today to allow the viewing public to see more of this. We try to do as many demonstrations. We'll do that with therapy departments, with PTs and OTs and recreational therapists. We're developing some new videos, which we will be then doing some spots on different programs. Also, we will demonstrate it to insurance companies, and we call in case managers. Because like Ron mentioned earlier, that an insurance company can save a lot of money, or even the state agency. Rather than lowering cabinets and shelves or lowering a work environment by standing up, you can save a lot of money. In the state of Wisconsin, at a college there, that to renovate 2 of the classrooms to lower the shelves so the students could get up to the microscopes was $120,000. They bought 2 chairs, and they saved all of the differential. So it was a big savings in terms of renovations.
Well, I'm sure when the show airs, you'll get a lot of phone calls, and you most definitely will be recognized for a great service as this, because as you all know, this show is designed to assist persons with disabilities, handicap, and elderly, so that we can get across the board that, you know, you can work, you can still be active, you can live a full, healthy life as anyone else, and you can go places that people almost say you can't go, you can go. So, you know, I'm sure you'll get a lot of responses after this, and I'm surprised that you're from Saginaw, you come all the way down from Saginaw and travel from place to place to demonstrate the chair. That takes a lot of courage and time, and definitely commitment to a service that's well needed.
Next week, I'm going to be delivering a chair over in Wisconsin. We cover a 4 or 5 state area, Marcia, and this fellow works in a paper plant. He needs to stand up to machinery. Without this chair, he would not have his job.
I think companies should be more considerate of their employers, so that they can continue to do quite a few of the jobs that they're able to do without any hesitation to say, well, we don't have anything for you. But mainly what happens is that the average company, if they're not familiar or comfortable with working with a person with a disability, they kind of just shove it under the rug until something like this comes along, a program like this, or if you yourself go out and demonstrate it, then they say, okay, we need to have a workshop. You know, so there should be more workshops, there should be more presentations, and there should be more advertisements in various ways to let people know that persons with disabilities, handicaps and stuff, they should be able to go out and work just as anyone else.
Yeah, we become natural ambassadors too when we utilize the chair, because I've had people see me out with the chair and just, you know, how can I get one of those chairs? So Coop and myself, when we're out doing different things in this chair, it's just like a natural advertisement.
Right.
And that's why I like to, I don't know whether you're going to show the 1-800 number for the standing company, but I always give them that number when they ask me about the chair.
Well, we'll have the number available at the end of the show. And in our closing, gentlemen, if you could you stand up for us and let our camera crew here get a shot of you doing your thing? And
Absolutely.
everybody's got a backpack, and
We could give you a standing ovation now.
see, what Larry and I would really like to see out there is more of these chairs, because Larry will agree with this. You know, anytime you're out in an airline terminal or a grocery store or shopping someplace, you can't get through the place because there's at least a dozen people come up to you and they can't believe this chair, and they know somebody that could use this chair, and it takes an hour to get through Walmart sometimes just talking to people.
well, it's a remarkable concept. It truly is, and we're very glad to have all 3 of you on the show.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much. Really
And Dave,
appreciate it.
anytime you want to come back, please come back and join us. And Ron and Larry, in the future, we plan to have another show.
I'd like to invite you out to my hangar and show you what the day in the life of a handicapped person is working on airplanes all day long.
Okay, we will definitely come out.
Take you for an airplane ride. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'll try to be brave that day. Okay? I'm sure we'll get a chance to catch up with you all in the future. But thank you so much for coming. As you all well know, as I always say, if you know someone with a disability, don't be afraid to ask, just ask. I'm your host, Marsha Florence, and if anyone would like to come on our show in the future, please give us a phone call, area code 248-988-0250. That's our production number, 24 hours, and we'd love to have you on. Any comments, any suggestions for future shows, please drop us a line and let us know what you think. And once again, we'd like to thank our guests from the Standing Wheelchair Company. Thank you. Good night. Oh, y'all so sweet. Okay.
Now we just hit it. Right?
Funding for this program was provided by